We got to be willing to win a little bit ugly. Win 13-10, win 17-14, and do that 1 week at a time. You're going to turn around. You're going to find yourself in the championship game.
Welcome to On Texas Football. Time for Lunch with the Coach. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Coach Bryan Erwin and Coach Bob Shipley, two extraordinarily successful high school football coaches in their time. Guys, let's talk about the Florida Gators coming up this weekend. But really, I want to try to take a broader view with you guys, if you don't mind today. What I really want to discuss and get y'all's feedback on is, where do you think this Texas team needs to head? What are the things they need to keep in mind as they try to go and play not only against Florida, but the rest of the season, and potentially make a run at a SEC championship, make a run at a college football playoff? What are the things that you really think they need to look forward to? We met a little bit in the pre-talk here, pre-production meeting. Bryan, you had one thing that you wanted to talk about first out of the gate, and tell us what that is.
Willingness to win ugly. And everybody's like, well, there's no such thing as an ugly win, and I get it. But sometimes as a coach, you can win and you don't feel real good about how you played, because coaches are, you want to play well. You want to execute. You want to, no matter what they say, coaches can talk some crazy talk sometimes. Well, we won the game, and that's all that matters. That's really not how you feel, or that's not how I felt. And, if you stunk it up in an area, you really felt like you failed, even if you won the game. So we've got to be willing to win ugly. And what I mean by that is defense, special teams, move the chains, punt the ball when we need to punt, kick field goals, make the field goals, punt, cover the punts, down the punts, play tremendous defense, run the ball, convert third downs. We're just not, I don't think we're going to be that explosive offensive football team this year. I just don't. I'm not being negative. I just don't think that's who we truly are. And we got to be willing to win a little bit ugly. Win 13-10, win 17-14, and do that 1 week at a time. You're going to turn around. You're going to find yourself in the championship game.
Bob, that's kind of exactly how the Aggies won this week, 16-10 over Auburn. Do you agree with Bryan?
Absolutely, yeah. I'd even break it down to just take it one play at a time, one drive at a time, one quarter at a time, one half at a time, one game at a time. Don't make this thing bigger than it is. This conference is crazy. I mean, we saw the scores this past week, so many upsets, so many underdogs won or had the chance to win. Mississippi State, one of them. This conference and this national championship is wide open for the taking. And so you forget about the past. You just work on what you're doing right now. One play, one drive, one quarter at a time. Play with confidence. Have fun. We saw Arch having fun last week. We saw the guys having fun, celebrating. That was good. And I wrote down exactly what Bryan's talking about. There's no such thing as an ugly win. A win in the SEC is a freaking win. And that's all we need to do is just win. And then, the defense, I think, has shown they've proven to us that they'll show up every Saturday ready to battle. So most of my comments come from offensively, special teams. We need to take it to the next level. We need to take one home. We need to continue to pin teams back. And I like Bryan's comments about take the points. When you have an opportunity, punt the ball, kick the field goal, take the points, because now it really matters. Every point's going to make sense.
Guys, the other thing that I would ask for y'all that keys to this season, anything about the defense? Y'all said rely on your defense, but is there anything that you see on the defensive side of the ball where you're saying, hey, we need to step up? We need to, is it tackling well and just following the basics? What is it on the defensive side of the ball that you're looking for?
I think more of the same. Being able to play as many kids as we played. I don't think our talent level drops off that much when we go from 1 to 2 or 2.5. Play a lot of guys. It's a long game. It's a 4-quarter game. These games are long. These games are physical. So many games are won, midway through the fourth quarter and towards the end of the game.
Yep.
Being that team that can finish strong. That was my third, point in this, is just having that championship mindset. And I just being a freaking dog on defense. And I had a conversation the other night at a football game with Arizona Cardinals with Kevin Murray, and we're talking about these players versus those players in the SEC and all that. He's like, Coach, man, you in the SEC, you got to eat like this. You got to eat with your hands, and that's what we want our guys doing. We want our guys that they don't eat with a fork and a spoon and a knife. We want our defensive guys eating with their hands, just being nasty, run to the football, knocking the piss out of people, turning the ball over, and get third down stops, getting our offense back on the field.
Bob, I see you smiling when Coach Erwin said that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great analogy. It's a great analysis of where we're at, the way our defense has to play. And really, our offense has to play the same way. I love offensive linemen that have a defensive lineman mentality. They want to eat with their hands, like Bryan was talking about. And if we get our offensive line, I said it last week after our game with Sam Houston, we don't really know who we are really as a football team, but it's obvious that our offensive line is not going to be the kind of offensive line that comes off the flat backs and moves the line of scrimmage 5 yards every snap or whatever. We're not built that way. So our running backs need to be healthy. They need to hit the holes. They need to have great vision. They need to be able to cut on a dime and make big plays happen for us offensively. And our offensive line needs some they do need some success. They need to blow some people off the ball. And if you're not blowing Sam Houston off the ball, UTEP, et cetera, San Jose State, I don't know that we're going to expect to go in and blow a top defense off the ball, a top 10 defense off the ball. We're not going to probably blow them off the line. So I'm sure Sark has a good idea who we are as an offense. But as Bryan pointed out in our pregame meeting, that I don't know that our offense is what we thought it was going to be and what they thought it was going to be. And we've got to figure out what we have to do to win and implement a game plan that will utilize our guys' talents, our guys' strengths, even though that may not be what Sark's personality is and what his strengths are. He has to be able to adapt to what we can do. And if we're not a team that's going to throw it, down the field as successfully as he'd like to be, we need to take what the defense gives us. And just be a patient offense. And these next couple of games, obviously it's not going to get any easier the week later when we play OU, but this is a great step in the right direction for us to gain some confidence to figure out who we are as an offense.
I got a couple of stats I want to run by you on the Texas and Florida offenses and the Texas and Florida defenses and get y'all's take on it. But first, I want to say thank you to our sponsor. That's Laura Baker over at the Keller Williams Realty Group and the Andy Allen team. Reach out to her at 512-784-0505. That's 512-784-0505. If you're moving to, from, or within the Austin area, give Laura a shout. She is a longtime Austinite and somebody that you can trust with your big purchase. Again, 512-784-0505. All right, here's the stat for you guys. Texas and Florida, both offenses of these teams, rank 100 and above in the country in third down percentage. Now, Texas is like in the 106, 107 range. Florida's at 133. Okay. Conversely, on the opposite side, the Florida defense and the Texas defense are both top 10 in third down defense. What's going to is anything going to give, or is this just the recipe for, I don't know, Bryan, you said in our pre-production meeting, a 6-3 finish? I mean, what are you thinking when you hear those kind of stats? Because mine are, man, how many times are these teams going to punt on Saturday?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, what do you think, Bryan?
My first thought is take the under.
Jerry said the same thing when I talked to him about this. Said the same thing.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to overcome those stats because both defenses are very good. I mean, our defense is fantastic. I've watched Florida a number of times this year. They are very good. So there's no fallacy there, and it's hard to get around that. I think the team that offensively can get as close to 50% on third down is probably going to be the team that wins the game. If we can approach that 50% mark, then we've got a great chance to win the game. So it's going to be interesting to see who can get closest to 50%.
What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, I think that's a great point that Coach Erwin makes, and I have to agree. I would take the under on this, but what Texas has to do is take the home field advantage away from Florida.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be loud. They're still holding on to hope. The coach is still holding on. We need to have success and have success early. Take their fans out of the game. Make them question, oh, man, here we go again. And the only way to do that is play every down like it's 4th and 1 mentality. You know, I've got to make this stop. I've got to make this play. If I'm not going to make it, who's going to make it? You know, that type of mentality on defense, and the same on offense. You know, they're going to be facing a very good defense, but for the first time in a long time, we're going to have a lot of guys back in this game that we haven't had. Maybe not 100%, but we're going to have a lot of our guys back that we haven't had back. So I'm hoping that Arch gains some confidence and some success through the Sam Houston win, through this off week, going into game week, so that we're able to come out, take their fans out of the game, take control of the game early, and make them play come from behind.
And maybe the Boo Birds will be out at that point.
They might be.
Because, Billy Napier's living on borrowed time. Sam Pittman just let go up at Arkansas on Sunday as well. A couple of notes on that, taking the crowd out of it. 2 of their 3 losses this year are on the road. They lost on the road to LSU and lost on the road to Miami. They did have 1 loss at home, and that was against South Florida, where the Boo Birds did come out a little bit. All right, last piece I want to ask you guys about, and this is a coach's question if I've ever heard one. It's supposed to rain in Gainesville on Saturday and all week long, okay? The field is going to be tore up. There's just no doubt about it. Also, you know it's going to be wet. The ball's going to be slippery. What do you tell your players in a game like that? Is there anything special you talk to them about when you have a game that's just going to be slip and slide and a lot of wet footballs thrown around? What y'all have any thoughts on that?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is, as a coach, it makes you extremely uncomfortable, especially if you're the favorite. You know, I think Texas is the favorite. We should win the game if we play well, you know. And so that makes you really nervous as the coach of the team that should win the game, because there is an equalizer with the wet field, slower conditions, and being wet where you slip, slide, you can fumble the ball a little bit, higher propensity to fumble the ball. So from a coaching standpoint, it's very uneasy because you know that is an equalizer. But from a true coaching standpoint, I think you go into it with technique, you know, running route, shoulders over the toes, be very, very technique oriented with your body positioning, you know, shoulders over your toes, whether you're backpedaling, whether you're running routes. If you're coming full speed to make a tackle, you're really going to do a great job of bringing your feet, you know, killing the ants, shoulders over your toes, and maintaining good body position, because you just don't want to get yourself out of position with your feet and your shoulders. That's when you're going to get off balance. That's when you're going to slip. That's when you're going to miss tackles or fall down and give up a big play, or, you know, what have you.
Bob, what about ball handling in this sort of situation?
So I'm assuming this is a natural turf field, if I'm not mistaken.
It's natural grass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ball security is going to be huge, and that might play a part in the running backs that we see for Texas, because we have some running backs that have a propensity to put the ball on the ground sometime, and when it's wet, it just exasperates that fact, you know. That's a word I learned from Bobby. I'm not sure I said it exactly right. I want to be careful how I said it, because I didn't want to get it confused with another term. But anyway, I think, you know, it's going to get – I really think we have an unforeseen jewel in our running game when we have at least one of our 2 top running backs back, maybe both of them. But you put the other guys in there. You put Simon in there. You know, I like the way he moves the pile forward. He puts his head down. He'll find a crease. The pile seems to always move forward, just like it did for Rojo when Rojo played for us. And so I see Simon being a guy that I would use a lot in this game. Stay away from the guys, at least make them prove to you they're not going to fumble the ball, that have had a chance of fumbling in the past, and then, at some point you got to rely on your ball boys, to keep fresh balls in there for Arch. And I'm still a little bit concerned about Arch because he still does this when he's going to throw the ball. I don't know if you noticed that against Sam Houston, but he still did that. And that was only on plays he was throwing it. So I'm hoping that he'll throw people off with that and not keep doing that only on passes that he's throwing.
It sounds like you may need to tell your friends at Texas about that one, Coach. I got another question as we close out here, and I lied to you. I got one more. Y'all talked about willingness to win ugly, defense being sound. You talked about one play at a time. Bryan, you had talked about special teams a little bit. Is that part of what you mean by winning ugly, essentially?
Certainly.
Those guys?
Certainly. I mean, is there anything more beautiful than bombing a punt down there and killing it on the 2-yard line and sending your defense out there? Is there anything better than that in football?
No,
I mean,
no.
I just can't think of anything. I'd rather that happen and than throw a 60-yard touchdown pass. I mean, it's just so much fun because now you get to go out and just beat them in submission. They've got the ball, they've got it on their own 2-yard line, and you're teeing off on them. You're beating them in a submission. You're probably going to get the ball back here in just a minute. Really good field position, take it down and score. So, yeah, that type of special teams play where you punt it, kill it down on the 2-yard line, kick the 40-yard field goal, make a big one every now and then, hit all your extra points, cover your – to start the game. Bob will probably tell you the same thing. When you kick off or they kick off, it's funny to see who's going to set the tone. It's neat to see who's going to set the tone. I remember back in the day when you were playing the Miamis and the Alabamas and people, when they kicked off, they tried to murder you, and they're flying down the field, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're fast, they're physical, and then all of a sudden, just a slobber knocker of a hit, and you're like, we're in trouble. They've got these are their number threes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. These are the threes. And so this is the kind of talent we're dealing with. So I just think you can really set the tone with how you start a game. And then obviously the points that you can find within the special teams are huge. So special teams nobody can convince me otherwise. They're just as important as offense and defense. There's 3 phases to the game, and not one phase is more important than the other.
Gotcha. Bob, anything you want to add to close out there?
Yeah, just one trick of the trade that some people don't pay that much attention to it when it's on dry conditions. But if you see a running back or receiver or a ball carrier, whether it's kickoff return or whatever, try to cut with their inside foot on a wet field, you're going to see them slip and fall down. I love what Coach Erwin said. Keep your shoulders over your feet. That way, when you plant a foot, it has to be the outside foot. You can't plant your inside foot on a wet turf, or it'll move out from under and you'll slip and fall down. So I'm hoping these coaches have covered that in dry conditions. It's something that I looked at even in junior high kids, just trying to teach them to cut with the outside foot. Don't ever cut with the inside foot. Sometimes you can do it when it's dry, but when it's wet, you're going to almost slip down every time because you don't have your shoulders over your feet, which is the center of gravity that Coach Irwin was talking about. And what a great point he made in wet weather football. Keep your shoulders over your feet, plant with your outside foot, and good things will happen to you.
Hey, one other thing, Bobby, that I think is going to be interesting. We hadn't talked a whole lot about Arch, but is Arch going to be a good wet ball thrower? There's a lot of quarterbacks that are good wet ball throwers versus a guy like Troy Aikman that was a very, very poor wet ball thrower. So,
hey, he's from Louisiana. Surely he knows how to throw a wet ball.
Yeah, that's right, because Aikman was from Oklahoma, so that makes a lot of sense.
Arch is down there in New Orleans. He knows how to throw a wet ball.
He's down there below sea level. Certainly he can throw a football.
It's a good point, Bryan. All right, guys. Hey, that's going to do it for today's Lunch with the Coach. Again, Thank you to our sponsor, Laura Baker, over at the Andy Allen team within Keller Williams. Give her a shout, 512-784-0505. That's 784-0505. Again, Laura Baker, Andy Allen team at Keller Williams. Thank you also to our coaches, Bob Shipley and Bryan Erwin. Guys, I'll talk to you again on Monday of next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking about a Longhorn victory. You guys have a good one. Hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.